I went to the Dollar Tree the other day and was pleasantly surprised by beautiful autumn dish drying mats for me to make all kinds of new projects and this adorable hot pad in the shape of a pumpkin that says, "Hello Pumpkin." Like, could that be any cuter? The construction of this bag is going to be just a little bit different than what we have done in the past. We're not going to box the corners on this one. We are actually going to sew like sides and a bottom and attach them separately to the bag. You're going to need 3 dish mats to be able to do that. So for this first dish mat, I'm actually cutting the sides and the bottom of my bag. So you're going to make one strip 4 inches by the length of the dish mat, and then you're going to make 2 more strips that are 4 inches across and then the length of the sides of this other dish mat. So you'll have your side pieces and then your bottom pieces. And I'm cutting off the pieces that have the seams on this part just to make it a little bit easier to sew everything together. So you can see here how it's going to lay out. These are the sides and the bottom. And then I'm going to cut my lining pieces out of just 2 fat quarters that I picked up at the Dollar Tree that complement the fabric well. And you're going to make just the same shapes that you cut out of everything. So you'll have 2 linings that are the size of 2 regular dish mats, and then 2 side pieces and a bottom piece, all the same size, lining and main pieces. And you can see here that now we are attaching this adorable pot holder that I'm going to be using as a pocket. So to do that, I decided to just sew around the edges just up until like the little crest of the sides of the pumpkin. This creates a double pocket. So you could sew the whole perimeter if that makes you feel more comfortable, but I thought it would be kind of nice to have a back pocket and then a front pocket. Isn't that so cute? Okay, moving right along. So now it's time to construct the outside of the bag. So you're going to lay your pieces this way. I've got my Hello Pumpkin facing like down towards the bottom piece, and you're going to fold that up, pretty sides touching, and clip it all the way across the bottom. Now, when you go to sew these dish mats, you want to make sure that you're using probably at least an 80-12 universal needle, if not a 90-14, because they are a little thick. Right here, I'm marking 1/2 inch in on each side because I want to remind myself not to sew there. You're going to need to leave that little space open in order to connect all of the pieces at the end of the project. Using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, sew a straight stitch straight down that line. Take your time on this, okay? This is not a race, it is a marathon. If you are brand new to sewing, this might feel a little overwhelming. So just take your time and take lots of deep breaths and be very nice to yourself, okay? You're doing something cool. So repeat that on both sides and you'll have this adorable piece of fabric now that's super big. And all we're going to do at this point is attach those sides. Now this piece is going to be longer than your main front piece because you just sewed a 1/2 inch seam. So match your top edges together and let it overhang on the bottom like by 1/2 inch. And that's where you're going to not sew. So you're doing the same thing where you're sewing a straight stitch down each side, but you're leaving a 1/2 inch at the bottom where you're going to leave a space. See how I've got it right here? And then I've got my dot marked there that says, "Don't sew past me," okay? Look how we've attached those, okay? Look how this is coming together. Do you see where we're going with this? It kind of creates like a box, right? And that's pretty cool. I would say this is the only sort of, but not really tricky part. You just have to like maneuver the fabric a little better. You're gonna sew that other side seam down on both sides and then sew across the bottom. Really, what I want you to focus on here is just making sure that you're catching all of the fabric under your needle and that you don't have any holes in the edges of your bag, okay? You can totally do this, I promise. If you're hanging in there with me, can I just tell you how proud I am of you? You're doing a great job. This is the part where I got really excited and almost started crying again. You guys, I don't know why I cry when I make bags, but it just happens, okay? Because they're so cute. Reach inside your bag and turn it right side out and push those little corners out with your finger. You want them nice and crispy. And then you have a nice bag to look at. I am just laughing at myself in this video because my husband was on a call, so I couldn't record it while I was talking. So now I'm just like replaying it and watching how ridiculous I am. Heavens to Betsy. Okay, repeat those steps all on your lining pieces. Exactly the same as you did for your main pieces. Good job. Okay, let's make some straps. I am using a piece of scrap fabric that I had in my stash. It is 3 inches by the width of the fabric right now, so 42 inches. And I'm just cutting that in half. So it's gonna be like 21 by 3 inches. You need 2 of these. And I'm using Polypro strapping, which you can get in my Amazon store, which I will put inside the tube that I'm creating here. So I put my pretty sides together and I sewed like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance so that I had a tube that was like right at the same size as my Polypro strapping. Turn it right side out and you're going to press it out so it's nice and crispy. And the next step is to cut that Polypro strapping to the same length as your strap that you just made. Maybe even a little bit longer just so you have some leeway. And then all you have to do is grab a safety pin and push it through, okay? This is not hard. You can totally do this. What this does is it gives this strap a little bit of structure. You could achieve this as well by using like a heavyweight or a midweight usable interfacing that you would just attach to the pieces of fabric before you fold them over and sew them. Either way is totally fine. It's your world. I'm just living in it. Once you get it through, I want you to top stitch it on both sides. That's regardless of what you put in the middle of your straps. They need to look pretty, and that's what a top stitch does. Put them inside your bag so that the raw edges are facing up at the edge of your front and back pieces, and just space them apart however you feel comfortable spacing them. Just make sure they're the same so they look nice when you finish the bag. I'm basting them in place here so that when I go to stick my lining in, they stay put and they don't scooch around and cause trouble. Lay your lining pretty side to pretty side inside your bag, and you're going to clip around the top edge. Make sure you leave like a 6 to 7 inch space open though where you don't sew. So start sewing at the first part of your hole, sew all the way around, and then stop when you get to the other end so that you know that you have a hole to turn the bag out through. This is the hole that I left, and now I'm going to turn my bag through it. And this is when I got super excited, and I was like, let's go. This really is my favorite part of the project. You're birthing the bag. You're pulling it through and making it all crispy and beautiful, and you're seeing your work for the first time. Oh, it's just nothing like it, I'm telling you. Once you get it all turned out and pretty, I want you to push that lining down. You can even clip it in place if you want, and you're going to top stitch around the top of the bag. This is going to close up that hole, so make sure that you're catching all of the fabrics in that spot where you left the hole, and then sew the whole way around. So they'll never know that there was a hole there ever, because it's going to look so perfect when you're done. Sometimes this takes a little maneuvering and finagling, but you can totally do it. It also might help if you want to press it at your ironing board to get those edges exactly as you want them before you go in and sew them back shut. Go to your machine and sew to make it nice and beautiful, and then it's time. It's time to look at this bag. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited about how this turned out. Who would have thought that you could use a pumpkin-shaped pot holder to make a pocket? And if you can't find the pumpkin ones, just use a square one. It still has that front pocket on it. It would be perfect. This is awesome because you can make this bag with the seasonal dish mats for now, and then you could make another one at Christmas time, and then another one in springtime. And you see where I'm going with this. You can have year-round, adorable tote bags. What do you think of my under $7 seasonal dish mat pot holder pocket tote bag? Like and follow for more.